afternoon. It's Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and this is January astrology for Virgo, Ascendant, Sun, Moon, or Stellium, which means a couple of planets in Virgo. And this is no longer Moon Day because this is night where I am, and this would be a Venus night. And this is a Venus night, Moon hour. And we are having ascendant on the anaretic degree of Leo at the time of this recording, with the sun in 17 degrees Capricorn. And we're going to talk about this Capricorn house of Virgo. It's the fifth house for you a lot because it's going to be bombastically active. And the moon is on 11 degrees Sagittarius, which for this chart is the fifth house, but for you is the fourth. And Venus conjuncting the moon, 12 degrees Sagittarius, and ruling the ascendant, the midheaven on Algol. So let's take a little moment to honor Algol, which for you would be the ninth house. Okay. And so Algol, Medusa Gorgon, is basically a being that has experienced, trigger warning here, rape and murder, disbelief, and magically she's protective from psychic attacks, protecting of our voices and of our autonomy in spirit and in matter. And this is the teaching of Medusa, basically to actually be present in our own physical being. And this is a being that plays a tremendous part in world events currently, has been since COVID, and some is I would like a reviewer to get acquainted. She is not the seductress, Versace, very beautiful and very sensual. But her story is not the temptress, seductress, but actually a very beautiful, very sensual woman, yes, proud in her sensuality, that went through rape, was disbelieved by Palacetina, which was another very beautiful woman that was also justice warrior, who thought that Medusa Gorgon was a traitor, and she was murdered. Okay, well, in fact, she was raped. She wasn't cheating, she was raped. And she was murdered and disbelieved, and her head was turned into snakes, and her head was basically used as a talisman that could turn every man into stone because of her rage of what happened to her. Okay, so you understand that if her head was turning a man into stone because of the rage of what happened to her, it was not some a seductress woman that was murdered for treason, because otherwise she would not be angry. Maybe she would be frustrated, helpless, yes, but here she was angry because she wasn't believed. And this is a big thing to remember when we are dealing with Medusa Gorgon, when we are dealing with Algol, and when we are dealing with world events predicted. Okay, so honoring Algol is honoring what she rules, and she rules the people who deal with protecting their autonomy in spirit and in matter, also in the face of sexual boundary violations. Now, let's go to the astrology. And Virgo. So let's find your ascendant here. And like I said, the fifth house, which is Capricorn, is very much active through the whole month of January. So Mercury is already direct, we're already into January, and right now Mercury is in your fourth house. So you are finishing up things to do with your housing, with your family of origin, with your foundations, basically. Okay, so renovating, changing up things, saying things that need to be said, finding documents or maybe signing contracts, if it is housing or rent. And right now, Mars is already in Capricorn. So we have the Sun in Capricorn right now. We have Pluto that up until January 21 will be in your fifth house until it ingresses into Aquarius for a while. Then we'll be back. Then November 19, 2024 is the for good. Okay, like as Jefferson said, for good ingress to your sixth house of Pluto. So wrapping up stuff since 2008 to do with your fifth house, creative endeavors, children, fertility, romance as well, and risks, what you do for fun. Sun now is 70 degrees into the fifth house, and she's co-present with Mars. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Now, depending on if you are a day sect or a night sect, if the sun is below the horizon, you're a night sect, otherwise day sect. And that would affect if this Mars is representing more problematic stuff for you, like fights, arguments, accidents, and stuff like that. Or if this Mars is actually might represent the same things as well, but it's not as harmful, it's not as problematic. And so this Mars is very much in its power in Capricorn. It means that, first of all, passion is in your life. It's very evident. You're very passionate. You could be passionately creative, but you can also be passionately romantic at the same time. This Mars is ruling your 8th house, and it is ruling also your 3rd house. So if you are creative, you are creative on a daily basis, and you might be tending to things you have swiped under the rug. Okay, so even stuff like writing or journaling, it can be very good at this time. Vlogging, writing, journaling can be very good at this time. You can do a hobby that is athletic on a daily basis. You could get really fit. Like if you have any issues with workout, finding the correct workout for you. Okay, so you might address this right now. Perhaps you have had a little, maybe you were trying to do workout and you had some sort of a trauma there. And now is the time where you can address it and you do daily workout. You find your own way. It can be dancing, it can be swimming. Okay, it can be, I don't know, just getting 7 minutes workout or something like this. And you have the discipline to do this, or you might be doing this with the partner as well. And that might be good for your relationship. January 14, this Mercury that's in your 4th house ingresses to your 5th. Now, I want you to think about the past month and a half, because Mercury has been there and done that. Now it's just going over it again, but with a direct motion. What were you dealing with at that time? Because you're going to revisit the situation. Okay, you will be revisiting the situation. And hello there. Mercury in the 5th. So Mercury, first of all, rules you. So this means that you're first of all tending to the issues of the 5th. You are at the 5th. You are doing some fun. You are doing some romance. You are taking some risks. You are connecting with your children, or you're tending to your fertility, or maybe having children. Yeah, can auch sein, especially when the ruler is in the ruler of the 5th is in your 7th for a while. You could be creating some babies. And there also are going to be any communication issue that you may have had with your lover, with someone, anybody, with a partner, you might be addressing at this point. Okay, if you were dealing, if you like me were dealing with gaslighting, okay, I'm Pisces ascendant, but if you're dealing with gaslighting that came from some romantic lover or something like this, or somebody that tried to get romance with you, or partner up with you, then this is maybe a time where you are like it's going to be co-present with Mars there, so you're going to be setting very firm boundaries to gaslighting if such is the case. But on the more positive stuff, it can simply mean that you are dating someone, not sure if this is going to be more than that, and now you actually decided they are more than that, but you need to just communicate about certain things that came up. Those things came up, you resolve them. Because the ruler of the 5th is in your 7th, unlike me, the time the opposite ascendant is Pisces ascendant, it can mean that you're actually taking it to the next level with someone. However, because the ruler is Saturn, it can be that you are separating from a partner, and if they are doing any gaslighting on a romantic level to try to get you back, you kind of like block them. It can be simply mean that you separated from a partner, they try to get you like to the sex with the ex kind of thing, and you just block all of their social media. Okay, because this is Mars and Saturn involved, they are the planets of severing ties, of argumentation, of asserting your boundaries, of ending things. So, however, they can also be planets of action. Okay, it can also be having sex and communication. Okay, the kind of sex that you communicate about, the kind of sex that you actually talk about, and now it kind of gets you to the next level. And Saturn rules commitment, so you could both be ending relationships, but also finding partners, or maybe you were meeting a partner and you were in a relationship, now you ended it, now you see the same person, you talk about things, you may have more than a conversation, and it is actually going to the next level. Okay, so this is what Mercury will be doing there. And January 23, before I'll talk about Pluto, I'll talk about the personal planets. January 23, Venus is ingressing to your 5th. Up until then, Venus is in your 4th house. Redecoration, connected with your elders. What's Venus ruling? She's ruling your 9th house and your 2nd house. Buying a house abroad, moving to live abroad. All of these things, moving out of your elder's house and having to rent because you are studying a new degree. Okay, all of these things are appearing in your life. All in all, it's a lovely time. She's not ruling any like complicated houses for you, unless you have other significations, kind of like Venus opposition outer planet or something like this. Then it's a great time to reconnect with your elders, great time, or with the family if you have a family, if you're a householder. So it can be more harmonious time, connecting time, a beautiful time. You might be creative, redecorating, and that can be a love of purchasing stuff for redecoration. They can have kind of like an either a religious flavor or a philosophical flavor or a broad type of the kind of decorations you have from all the traveling that you made and so on and so forth. January 23, she's going to your 5th house. So I like this because Venus in Capricorn is very practical, but this is kind of like your 5th house. So it's kind of like you're practically dating people. Or you could be reconnecting with your children, and Venus is bringing connection in. Okay, is bringing beauty, is bringing sensual pleasure, is bringing nice food, is bringing artistic expression. And so it's very good if you want to, let's say, have a vlog or anything, even whether it's beautiful words, beautiful pictures, or beautiful music, or beautiful dance moves. Venus is all that. And with the 5th house Saturn rule, you're going to be dedicating yourself to it. So you can be creating something very beautiful as of the end of January when Venus ingresses to your fifth house. And it can also be a time of romance. And you might, depending on your Venus natal Venus location, but you might be having romance with women that are going to be in alignment. If you are like, if your romantic partners are women, that are going to be in alignment with your worldview. Okay, they're going to bring in stuff that you believe in, and that can be very nice, or that are coming from abroad and can in some way contribute to your income, to your skill, but also to your expenses. Okay, you might be spending money, maybe traveling together for pleasure, and that can be a lovely, lovely, lovely time for you. Okay, not only that the ruler is in your seventh, so again it can be either that a relationship has ended, but a more mature and correct for you relationship has began. Okay, Saturn is about maturity, is about commitment, it's about dedication, it's about the lessons of life. So it's about a serious relationship. So when the ruler of your fifth is in your seventh, is a great time for a serious relationship. And when that ruler is Saturn, so it's like, anyway, you're not the type of a person who can just, I don't know, have a one night stand because it's Saturn. Maybe I'm wrong, it's your sex life, what do I know? But Saturn is about duration, it's about commitment, it's about dedication. It is picky and it thinks long term. So you think about this person. So if I sleep with this person 28 years from now, what will I be thinking about this? This is Saturn. It's 20 years. He's not the moon. It's not. I have the moon ruling in the fifth, ruling the fifth, and it's like, I meet someone. It's like, I love you. I don't know you. Oh, but I feel your feelings. Okay, fine. And the next day I could be feeling something completely different. But yes, but if they don't love me, I cannot be with them. But Saturn is way more practical. It's the other polarity, it's the opposite sign of Cancer. So it's very difficult to have one night stand because it's like, is this going to lead me anywhere? Should I waste my time sleeping with this person? I don't know, like, yeah, pleasure or something. Venus is going to bring a little bit more pleasure, a little bit more connection, kind of like warming Saturn up a little bit. So that's blessed. Now, Pluto. Pluto, January 21st, is ingressing into Aquarius for a little while. It has been there between January and March this year. Okay, so not this year, previous year, 2023. So you want to think back a year ago, and let me, with a kind reminder of Vlada Duncheva, pass it on to you. What was happening around that time? Well, banks were falling apart. And this Pluto is heading to your sixth house of health, pets, enemies that are colleagues at work, and your duties, okay? Your daily routines, but it's so that it's like your service to the world. It's kind of like if you have a job, then, or if you have employees, okay, it represents them. And something I totally adopt from Tzveti's view on Pluto is Pluto will take you through oscillations between extremes at the house that it's dealing with, at the sign that it's dealing with. Okay, so think about the 2008 crisis, people who became multiple house owners only to lose these houses to the flippers, people who became house flippers, people who lost everything and then had to build themselves back, people who had nothing and then built themselves into something. And for you, it was in the fifth house since 2008. You may have turned from being a child free to having 6 children. Okay, or you might have, hopefully not the other way around, horrible jokes, trigger warning jokes. I triggered myself. Anyway, yes, and so you might have turned from completely celibate to having multiple affairs at once. I don't know, thinking, oh, who am I going to marry from these, I don't know, 13 people? Just and you might have gone from not taking risk at all and being very calculated to, hey, only through debt I can make something in my life. So I just going to take debt for studying, I don't know, guitar lessons. And then I increased my credit score this way if I paid monthly and so on and so forth. Because it's about taking risk. It's your fifth house and doing something that you love, and Saturn is debt. And so you might have gone from having no time for hobbies to doing just hobbies, for no time for your creative endeavors to doing just that. And now Pluto is coming back to your sixth house. So you might be I'm not a pet person to I have 7 cats. You might be a person that's dealing with a certain, when it comes to your physical health, there are going to be oscillations between extremes as well. So you might be very, very healthy and then hardly able to move, not in like a dramatic thing. I mean, it can be, it's Pluto, but it doesn't have to be. It can just mean that you experience the extremes of your physical health as well. And you might be a person that doesn't have any enemies at work. It's like everybody's darling to finding out that you do have some enemies at work. Or you might be coming from employee to having employees. Okay, these are the type of oscillations we can expect for the next 2 decades. And of course, it also is the sign of AI, of space, and so and you might oscillate between I only want to meet with my doctor to why don't you have an AI to diagnose me? That would do better to oh my God, this diagnosis of the AI nearly killed me, and that can be a type of situation. Technologifying your diet, your health habits might be something that you are going to oscillate between. Now, I want you to think back because the things that came up around this were banks collapsing and people attacking a homeless person that made some troubles in the train because he wanted to get arrested, and some veteran killed him, and people were cheering up the killing of this homeless person. This was when we, the people, had to do better than our governments. Okay? So now we're getting a second chance to do a little better than our governments. With all the things that are going on in the world with people, it doesn't look so promising. But Pluto is kind of giving humanity a little bit of a second chance before it's going to go for good into Aquarius, and then there will not be any government to govern the situation. Okay, there will not be a responsible adult to govern the situation of we the people, and there are going to be 2 decades to deal with that. Naturally, your physical health, your work, or your employees and your pets might be affected by this as well. Okay, it's not just aliens and robots, it is also the people ungoverned. And so that is another thing to be considering. Now I want to talk about Uranus, because Uranus will be going direct in your 9th house, 19 degrees. And remember, I opened this episode with a goal. The ninth house is academic studies, ninth house is international relations, so visiting abroad, traveling abroad, religious institutions, and in the ninth house is your religion. Taurus signifies some sort of a traditional religion, or even if you are atheistic, there can be very fixed view, okay? Yes, and Jupiter is already direct, is going to slowly go up in conjunct with this Uranus. So this Uranus is direct January 27. The entire month of January, Uranus is pretty much can be considered stationing on 19 degrees Taurus. Okay, and then it goes direct. So the shade period of Uranus, where it goes direct over the degrees where it was retrograde, is going to be up to 23 degrees Taurus, with a prolonged stay on the 22nd degree, the 21st degree. What happened with Uranus when it was retrograde on the 22nd degree, the 7th of October, the 21st degree, Israel bombing Gaza and getting boots on ground into Gaza. Okay, as well as the demonstrations, as well as the doorways of Jews being marked by, Stars of David. And there were also Christian people, like in Canada, they were signaling, they were putting mezuzah on their door, which is kind of like a Jewish symbol, and adding a fish, so to express solidarity, okay, to show that they're not anti-Semitic, and so on. So we don't know who drew this thing. We don't know who orchestrated this thing. But what we do know is that Uranus is going to go over these degrees as it's conjuncting Jupiter direct in April, at the month of Nisan, around Passover. And you could be like the most atheistic person in the world, but this is something that you're going to be dealing with. If you are a student, you're going to be dealing with in the academia. If you are living abroad, you might be seeing that, okay, around. If you, whichever religion you are, it might be around your church, around your mosque, around your synagogue, or any other institution, religious. Jupiter is religion, philosophy, and expansion, and making things big, and Uranus is radicalism. Okay, you put these two together. Taurus is land, is women, is banking as well. Financials matter. Wealth is art. So we're going to be radical fundamentalism. There's just no way, even if it's atheistic. Okay, we're gonna see fundamentalists around this time. So other than the Israel-Palestine thingy, what I remember in particular, and I'm not going to say the names because I think they don't want too much exposure to this. They don't want to be probably associated with the news. They're not, but it's kind of like they let us know. But there was a beginning of ruling out some sort of esoteric or kind of like astrologic consultation or esoteric consultation or talismanic work. There's some sort of ruling out. I know that Austin's website has been blocked in Canada because it is considered occultist. That I know from years ago. I don't know how. I don't even know if it's still true now. I just like ran into that. So there were also the beginning of vehemently and religiously pursuing disallowing anything occultist to be, with the claim that this is like charlatanism and trying to kind of like ban this because it's not scientific or whatnot. So that was also happening, okay? Aside from like this stuff. So Uranus is going to go over these degrees again, and Uranus is also ruling astrology. And so Jupiter is kind of like radicalism around this topic again. And what I want to tell you about Passover and the doorways thingy. Passover is celebrated by the Jews as the holiday of the exit from Egypt, and it was the holiday, the Passover was when Moses was warning Pharaoh for the 10th time, and all the Jews had to paint their doorways red with blood, either of a sacrifice of an animal or menstrual blood, we don't know. And at that night, every first boy in every Egyptian household was killed. Okay, this was the curse of the disaster of the first boy. And that was when Pharaoh said, "Gei kibinimat," go away, but also chase the Israelites. And this is where it's kind of like the exodus from Egypt. And so in the October events, both the issue of the doorways of Jews being marked, okay, kind of like the doorways thingy, all the while, for the narrative that is very prevalent in Israel is never again is now, meaning the Holocaust. So October, they were thinking about the Holocaust, okay? Egypt is considered the original Holocaust, okay? The first Holocaust. Okay, the Jews were slaves. So you think about the concentration camps and stuff, it was kind of like the Jews were slaves, and then they were going, the Exodus, and spending like 40 days or years, changing the generations until they built the Israel. You can see that you can understand what's going on here. And it doesn't matter what position you are on the worldly map or political, but you can be like completely atheistic, say this is mumbo jumbo. It doesn't matter. I tell you why it doesn't matter, because on a mundane level, those scenarios again to play out again, and you're gonna maybe experience it's like somebody orchestrated a movie. The skies are scheduled to bring this issue again, and at the time of October it was these things with doorways. Okay, so I want you to know about this now, when Uranus is already just getting to go direct. And I want you to think about those events now, because they're going to be revisited. Hopefully you are not a person who was marking the doors of Jews, in any such way. But the thing is that we don't know what is going to happen, but we definitely know that the doorways and Passover and the curse of Egypt and the never again is now in Passover, with all that, let me tell you something about Jews. You could be the most secular Jew ever. If you ever lived in Israel around Passover, it's kind of like Thanksgiving. It's not about if you're religious or not. It's like where you spending Passover. Where all that. It's like this is a time where you have to be with some sort of the family, and then the conversation is like, do we eat first and then read the Haggadah because we're like hungry? And the Haggadah thing is this Egyptian story. Yes, and all of the things, all of the myths that are happening around that time, and also Jews will be celebrating Passover. Okay, so their tradition is they're supposed to leave a door open for Eliyahu and Navi and the prophet, and leave a cup with wine that represents I don't know, no. Don't let me get mixed with the Last Supper. It's going to be horrid. No, okay? I don't know what it symbolizes. But they leave this glass with wine to Eliyahu Navi, and this is kind of like so there's things to do with doorways and houses and Jews and houses and doors that are supposed to be open. If a Jewish house won't feel safe to have a door open, there can be an A bomb exploding the entire earth. So I really don't know where this thing is going to go, and um, and for sure many things are being, if you consider the 7th of October was another holiday called the Simchat Torah, which basically they celebrate like the giving of the Bible. I hope it's not like the Ten Commandments, because then it would be, yes. At this part, I think I'm even in dissociation because when you understand how the Jewish myths are interlaid with this whole mundane events thing, and the Jewish traditions, the costumes and stuff like that, you understand that there is something very symbolic, very religious, very extremist, okay, being interlaid into these things. And the never again is now. It's like all of these things. There is the psychological question: where is this meeting you? Where were you in October? Okay, it's not the where were you in October. It's kind of like a political statement. No, where were you in October? How were you affected by this? That is going to play itself out, but this time not with Hitler, but with freaking Egypt. Okay. And Suez Canal. Think about what happened. How did Israelites go out? So the myth goes, the story goes that the sea was parted. This is the Suez Canal. It's that sea. It's that sea we're talking about that the Israelites were crossing. What happened in October at that canal? There was a nuclear submarine by the United States, and then the Houthis from Yemen were shooting towards this nuclear submarine and hitting a large city in Israel, Palestine, whatever you call this. That's what's happened. Okay. And we got the plans of the United States that sees Egypt as kind of like the promised land. It's like it's everywhere. So this relates to any of your worldview, your religion, or the lack of, your academic studies, okay, higher learning, or if you are a teacher in academia, okay. Hopefully you're not a woman in Harvard that was supporting rape as an act of liberation. This will not age well, and it's like Saturn in Pisces, the time to repent. So repent, 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 repent. Pray to every God to repent you if you did something like this. And I pray for you that your soul will be repented in this way, because it's just inhumane. It's just inhumane. The evidence that, or not, I hope you're not asking for evidence for rape, because the only evidence that would convince you is, God forbid, if something like this happened to you, which no, it's more humane even to die for you. So for everyone, yes, for everyone. But the thing is that that it's going to be affecting, if you travel somewhere, if you're planning a vacation, okay, somebody come to visit you perhaps, okay, it's going to be affecting you from this 9th house. Where is Venus in your natal chart? Is another house that's going to be lit, okay, like a nervous system. This one is activated too. So you want to be looking at this. And it's not for nothing that I opened this with Algol, because Medusa Gorgon, first of all, understand that Medusa Gorgon did not ask for it. She was not a traitor. She was not a cheater. She was not Idra. Okay, her hair turned into snakes because Pallas Athena was stupid. Okay, not because, and Pallas Athena is a great woman, but she did a mistake here. But not because she was like Indra, or she wants the D and got punished for this. No, none of that. Okay, any of those, you could say patriarchal notions, you get the outdated notions of people that were only introduced to her through the frames of people who had no access to the actual story, for various reasons, often people who thought that she was this sensual seductress. Okay, the Versace use of Medusa Gorgone is basically from the point of view that, oh, she was so seductress, she was so sensual. And I will tell you another story. When I was looking at watches, I didn't know the Versace thing had to do with alcohol. And I was looking at watches, I'm like, oh my God, alcohol. And then I saw a candle in the shape of alcohol. And I bought such candle in the honoring of alcohol from a survivor of forced sex work. And I immediately asked the lady at the shop, I was like, oh, was this one made by her? And she said, no, 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 it was made by the owner. And I said, immediately, I want to contact this owner, want to ask him. But this owner, he said, actually, if a lady buys this watch, then you can give her the candle like for free as a gift. If a nice lady buys this, and then something didn't click because I don't think he meant this. I don't think he had he knew the whole story. But that was the situation, and I kind of, moved on with my life. And I learned, and I looked for the Versace symbol, and I was like, oh, this is the Versace symbol. This is the Versace symbol. And I looked about the founder of Versace, and I was like, oh, he thought she was like a seductress woman. So he put it on the symbol so people would be drawn magnetically to his brand. Okay, unfortunately, he was also murdered. And so I want you to understand this. Maybe even this is the key for you to dealing with this event, because as you turn to Medusa Gorgon, magically, you're turning to protection from rape, rape and murder, torture, psychic attack, discrediting your testimonial or validity of your voice or of your view. Okay, it's not about being seductive. Like you understand what I mean. It's not about how to seduce or being magnetic or something like this. Yes, but like I said, I bought this candle from a survivor of forced sex trafficking that was working with Medusa, and not magically, like astrologically, but this was my honoring of the story of Medusa Gorgon, and this was what I chose to put on my altar, and how to start the altar for Medusa Gorgon. And there was a delay. She's in the nature of Jupiter and Saturn, or Mars and Saturn, depending on how you look at it. And learning to work with her, to work even with the deity of Medusa Gorgon, okay? Even before like Algol, the deity of Medusa Gorgon, petitioning. You don't even have to have, maybe you'll be called to have an altar, supporting people who were in forced sex work, who were survivors of sexual violence, who were discredited for the testimonial of violence that they've been through. Also can have to do with the people who were diagnosed as having been out of touch with reality when they testified on violence. Okay, so the use of psychiatric tagging of violence victims as a weapon to discredit them. Okay, of course, people need to be validated. They need to have, with a lot of things. But the thing is, the date is also a way to honor Algol. Okay, buying things that were things from businesses of women who survived violence. And I believe it's supposed to be relevant also to men who survived violence, sexual violence. And then investing, okay, exchanging money, because Taurus is money, and supporting them for them to be able to make money from their creativity, okay, from what they came here to do, is going to be also a way of honoring Algol. So people before funds, always, I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Okay, you can donate something to a fund, but you will see that you will get the information of how to do this correctly. And this will be very useful throughout the entire upcoming times even for you. Very, very important. And again, if you had misjudged views on these topics, repent. It is okay. Repent. Saturn in Pisces can bring a lot of Christ consciousness. It's kind of like it's time to get aligned with Christ consciousness, and it's time to understand that Christ consciousness is not seeing women as the devil, but Christ consciousness is about compassion, and it is about repent of atrocities, of sexual boundary violation, of psychiatrically tagging people who testify that they went through violence of ways that you don't understand, in energy, in astral, and a psychic attack. Okay, and this is a revolution to your worldview. It is going to be having very practical results in upcoming times, because to understand from a philosophical point of view or spiritual, or even just to get what's going on in the world, can give you more peace. I'm not saying it's, but it can give you more peace, and it can direct you in the right courses of action for you. Okay, so again, the goal turned out to be more important than I expected for this one. It was like, hey, the midheaven is no goal. It's just, let's say something, let's honor her. But here it is crucial for everyone and for you, because it's also touching beliefs, and it's radical revolutions, radical religious revolutions. Okay, mundanely, if you talk about international, Taurus-related areas, Belgium, Ukraine, Israel, there probably are more, but these are the few that I can name. So you want to look at the politics there, if you're supposed to travel anywhere, and it's Taurus related. It could be like another revolution in some other Taurus country. Wait, I need to sneeze. Bless me. That's it. You want to address that. Lunations. January 11th, we have a lunation in your 5th house. So you're having a new beginning. Moon and Sun are going to meet in 20th degree of Capricorn, just separating from a retrograde Uranus trine. Okay? And so, new romance, new creative endeavors, new things. It can be a good time to launch something, not to launch something new, you should start something new. Perhaps as the moon is becoming more visible, even starting in a relationship can be in place here. And so you're one of the signs, you're one of the ascendant that meets this new beginning in a very positive way. Okay, even if it's a reality check, it's a good one. Because Uranus is retrograde in your 9th house, there's still going to be revisions to your worldview, and it's going to act a little bit like a remember when Uranus was retrograde and blah 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 blah. And this is just the nature of this lunation. It's going to be a timestamp that starts a cycle of at least 6 months in your life. In your creative endeavors, romance, children, fertility, relationship with your children, and that timestamp is going to be relevant, and to keep reminding you of this point in life when things go smoothly. Okay, it's not a bad thing, because you remember that things don't always go smoothly. And it's important to proceed and remember why you started. Okay, it's like when you think of quitting, remember why you started. One more thing on Uranus. Yes, Uranus is associated with suicide. In a place like the 9th house, it can bring a suicide ideation. Okay, or simply thinking about suicide, the worldview about suicide, understanding suicide. If you think about death with dignity, okay, suicide and death with dignity, is mundanely highly important right now. And so it's an issue. Okay, I'm not saying you're going to say you think to do this, but you definitely are exposed to this discourse, even on an academic level or on a spiritual level. Okay, it's also a revolutionary time for how you conceive the topic of suicide. And the way it's going to play out for you is going to be personal to your life path and what is there in your ninth house that you're affected by. If you're one of the people that think, oh, if people commit suicide, then they go to, you will call it kafakela, and they go and they suffer all their lives and they can't come out of it and they repeat this. Okay, I want you to meet a website called tdjacobs.com. Okay, there's also having a website of healingsuicide.com by Tom Jacobs. That's the TD Jacobs. And just read the channeling of Metatron. Jehudi thought about suicide that shocked even Tom Jacobs himself, as a point of reference. Okay, if you can't have it in the common sense world that the person has been tortured, committing suicide so that he will not be continuously tortured or raped or something like this, and no, it is not a crime against God in this case, or perhaps in any case, but anybody else, then you maybe through some other means of channeling that would bring the point across, because those things also play themselves out. Okay, so if suicide has been the topic, it's also going to be addressed. If astrology has been the topic, also going to be addressed. All things Uranus. Technology. You might have another view about technologizing everything, technologizing food. What do you think about all this industrialized food, processed food, lab-grown food? Okay, might have been idealizing this. I know I have, and I definitely had a big reality check about this. Okay, and I understand, things that that I see today. So you might also be thinking about, this is a more thing than the 7th of October, and all of those are going to go through a revision. Okay, this new moon touches on that, but from your 5th house as well. The next lunation, before we talk about the planets all direct until April, next lunation is 25th of January, and this is in Leo with the sun in Aquarius. Leo is your 12th house, and we opened with the ascendant on the anaretic degree of your 12th house. So full moons, what's the job of full moons? New moons, new beginnings. Full moons, culmination of something that's at least 6 months old. What are you finishing up? What is the closure? And the closure is in its point of a T-square with your 9th house, with Jupiter there. They're supposed to be resolved in your 3rd house, but the ruler of the 3rd is actually in the 5th. So again, your 5th house is lit. Your Capricorn houses this January, it's all about that goat. Okay, you're the goat. Or your lover. So 12th and 6th houses are mental health, physical health. And they are in a natural square to your 9th house, which is your worldview, your religion. Okay, this basically creates a tension between an inherent tension between our beliefs and our physical and mental health. It's just by design. The 12th is the place of what you don't know that you don't know. It's also the bedroom. It's also the hotel room. It's also the prison and then the mental hospital and the hospital. It's also exile. It's also faraway places. Yes, loves? Okay, let me stuk about prison. Somebody was trying to exile a cat here. It's not gonna happen. Okay. Yes, stop jumping at each other. That would be nice. Now, so this full moon is basically a certain revelation that you have around something. And it's a revelation about the connection between your physical and mental health. It's a revelation about the connection between those and your worldview or your studies. Okay, maybe, I don't know, maybe you're studying criminology and it's kind of like draining your mental health. I don't know. Maybe you're studying architecture and it's kind of like, I thought it's going to be fun and it's going to be in Venice, Italy, but I live abroad and we have this pro-Palestine thingies and I'm a secular Jew, gay. And the Italy that I envisioned is not the Italy that I see today. Literally, we had Idota Saluki that was traveling to Rome after being forcibly hospitalized because he was in Palestine. So it's kind of like, he can't be in Palestine, so he's traveling to Rome, and he was almost murdered and then robbed twice the same week. So yeah, Italy comes into mind in Rome. So hopefully this is not your story, and shouldn't be. But definitely you're going to find out the dissonance between what you believe in, your traveling journey, and your physical and mental health. You think about this even when you travel somewhere, and it's Taurus, okay? Let's say you travel to Netherlands. Okay, you want to have a Käse, the Altkäse. Altkäse, okay, Altkäse. You want to have the Gostlach, okay? You want to have the stroopwafel, okay? You also want to have those marzipan-filled cookies. You cannot exit, unless you're diabetic, you cannot exit Netherlands without having this. You have no excuses. It costs like €1.50 to €2, €2.50 in Albergheim. You can buy them in any store. You do not have a permission to exit Netherlands without tasting those. Nobody talks about them. This is echt Nederlands. Okay? It's going to boost your cholesterol a little bit. Then add a croquette, nasi bowl, and you already have a little bit of a heart attack cooking. This is on the physical level. On a psychological level, you're heartbroken. You wanted to enjoy all this food, but now you're at hospital because you nearly had a heart attack from all this cheese and oil and stuff. Okay? And sugar. But it's just one of the, it's like, think about it. You want to go on vacation, you want to try everything. You go to Italy, you go pasta with this, a pasta with that, a pasta with that. Would you like some wine? Would you like some garlic? No, the garlic is not enough to get over all the pasta. You want a pane. Okay, they also you want a parmigiane, and you know you're supposed to be healthy some way, and you're not traveling. You're not an Italian, so you're traveling with your mentalism of I want to try everything, and you can end up in hospital. Absolutely, you can. So this is Taurus 9th house. Okay, but with the radical things that are happening there, or you think, oh, well, let me try this lab-grown meat. And you can like end up eating cancer cells. And no, they're not digestible. This happens. Okay, but it's also the loneliness of studying abroad and not knowing anybody, or traveling abroad alone, and limited access to medicine. Okay, so you are having a revelation crisis around those things that is resolved in your 5th house, what you do for fun, your creative project. You might write a blog about this. And this is how you culminate the issue. Okay, this is the resolution. It's like that. Hey, that was an experience. Let me write a blog about this. Let me do something creative about this. Let me film a movie. Let me dance about this. Let me sing about this. And that is how you deal with that. Yeah, but you're also letting baggage. You might be letting go of an ailment that had to do with how you view the world and how it's in contrast with your well-being. So, and you might have a lover that helps you to heal from this. This can be with these guys. Now to the best news. The best news is as of January 27, up until the beginning of April, all the planets are direct. The sky is moving forward and so are you. Everything's moving forward. Everything is running more smoothly. Everything is processing. So hopefully it's not like a litigation against you. But other than that, this is a time to have closure, okay? To end things, and relationships, and commitments that are not relevant, and romance that are not good for you, and addictions that are not good for you. Anything you want to put an end to, okay? What we call tashlich, okay? This is enough. I'm letting go. I'm releasing that. Not taking this with me on a journey, okay? As well as, this is when the moon is decreasing. When the moon is increasing, you want to find yourself elections to begin something new, whether it's a relationship, a creative endeavor, a travel plan, anything that you want to start that will grow. A garden, growing a garden, anything that you want to start that will grow and will have benefic results, that will move smoothly, that will operate smoothly. This is a great window of opportunity to find an election. You're still going to have to do the electional astrology part. And you can do it with an electional astrologer. You can buy the reports. I know Lisa Scheim and Chris Brennan released the annual good election for things. You might look for things there. Or you could get a consultation. I don't know how to do this in the time that it would take me to do this right now. You would have to pay so much that it would not be economic for you. And I don't know when can I meet you, because my Uranus is in the 3rd house of my daily routines and everything's been weird. But know that this is the time to tend to this, okay? If you're thinking about how to spend my money, an electional astrology consultation can be great for you. Even though I don't get dividends from that, then it's still true, and I still give you the advice. So this is the highlight. Your January is not looking all that bad, okay? You have some time before. We all have some time before April. And so 5th house, fully activated, all up in your 5th house, fun, joy, creativity, romance, setting boundaries to toxic behavior, and allowing in healthy, sensual encounters that can be more than just a casual thing. Yay! Yay for you! So enjoy this January.